Hi, welcome back to Cap at Home. We're just moving to an after-school time at 4 p.m. Today is a lesson that is called The Principles of Art, and we're going to work with movement and rhythm. So I have a short little PowerPoint presentation over here, and we'll just get to that, and then we'll do a painting tutorial. So for the painting tutorial, you're going to need an eraser, a pencil, some paints, a paintbrush. I have my paper masking taped down to my work surface, so you're going to want some masking tape. That helps a lot to prevent wrinkling, so anytime you use watercolor on paper, it's going to wrinkle a little bit. So in order to keep your page from getting damaged, I recommend that you use some masking tape to hold it down. And so we're going to do our PowerPoint presentation, so you can go ahead and get those items ready, and we'll work on this PowerPoint. So, rhythm and movement in art. Movement is the path your eye takes around an image. Cues for movement can be line, color, edges, shapes. Rhythm is created with the repetition of one or more elements repeatedly to create the feeling of movement. Rhythm in a work of art can create a mood, just like music or dancing. So Salowa Rauda Shoker was said to have been the first abstract artist from Lebanon. During her life, Salowa helped to found the Arab Cultural Center in Beirut, and in 1947 she was said to have been the first artist to show modern abstract artwork in the Arab world. So she did sculptures, and the repetition of these shapes, as you can see, create kind of a feeling of movement or rhythm. Her sculpture reflects her steady efforts to create work even when she was being largely ignored by her artistic community. And the movement of the angle is this sculpture. This is infinite module and infinite structure. Linda Olson was born in 1951 from Neptune Beach, Florida. Olson graduated San Diego State University in 1972 and has been doing art shows ever since all over the country of America. This painting is called Rhythm of Life and is painted with acrylic on canvas, and it was painted in just 2018, so pretty recently. And you can see the intention of the artist creating movements in the water. So these fish and kind of the swirly patterns of this water show the fish's movement. And art that flows. This image appears to be a tunneling effect. This image appears to create a tunneling effect. Waving layers of color, as you see the small focal point in the center. The image creates an optical illusion that simulates movement while being still and two-dimensional. So I recommend that if you're not able to draw from like a live model or someone that you know, like a friend or a family member who you can pose for movement, you can find some reference images online, and today we're going to use some reference images to draw the human form in movement. So here are my reference images. And these are just images I found by Googling movement. And I really like these ones because all of the figures appear to be jumping or standing or just making like crazy moving shapes. This one was super fun. They look like they're dancing. And this is our friend Keith Haring to remind us not to stress ourselves out too much trying to get this quite right. His characters are showing all of this movement. These are like little movement lines, and all of his little characters are dancing and having a good time. So take it easy and some moving people. So I've got my pencil here, and I forgot to add it to the list, but if you don't have a pencil sharpener, I recommend one. I'm just going to do like one basic figure. So I'm not going to do a whole lot of drawing. It's mostly just going to be a basic gesture drawing. So I was playing in my yard today, and I was just standing tall and kind of stretching. So I'm just going to draw someone standing up straight and tall with their arms stretched. If you know anything about yoga, I think this is like a tree pose. And I'm not going to worry too much about hands or faces or any specific detail. I'm just going to focus on just the shape of a body. And just try and get some of the like basic proportions. And I know that we like to use some technical jargon, so I'm just going to say that this is going to be a silhouette. So it's not super detailed. And we're just going to focus on creating some like movement poses. Some stretching poses. I did a little stretching. And I'm kind of thinking of stick figures while I'm doing this. But I'm also trying to create a little bit more depth. Oops. That's why I have an eraser. Alright, so here are my figures, and now I'm going to add some paint around them. So I'm going to start by adding paint to the negative space, because anytime you work with watercolor, it's a good idea to paint the negative space first, sort of the background. And I'm just going to make this really nice and light and bright. And this is a fun brush because it actually holds a reservoir of water inside it. And I'm not really trying to make this any kind of realistic other than just trying to get the realistic shapes of like a person's body. Like that's really the only realistic thing I'm worried about. I'm just kind of having fun playing with colors right now. And I just want some nice, fun, bright colors to liven up this image. And I'm just trying to think of movement and rhythm. So now I'm just taking my paintbrush and I'm adding some water to the page here. And I'm going to add some color to that. And I'm going to change it up. This is like a lot of blue, so I'm going to add another color. I'm really liking this really bright yellow-green color. So I'm just going to kind of spread this out. My palette kind of ended up getting knocked on its side at some point. So all of my paint is kind of smeared. But that's okay because I have more. And then on this one over here, I'm going to start kind of filling in some of the silhouette so it stands out. And I have kind of a lot of paint on my brush, so I'm going to do the hands last. I know I said I wasn't going to get too detailed, but if I'm really careful, I can do some fingers, I think. Right. 5 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers. There. That looks pretty good. And I forgot to add paper towel to my list because I'm working with watercolor. Anytime you have a little bit too much ink, or rather paint or water on the page, you can kind of dab it away with paper towel. Alright. Why do I keep using so much blue? I don't know, that's a good question. Oh, there's more blue. I thought that was going to be purple. There's some purple. And then these are also purple. There's purple. Oh, that's a fun color. Here's some orange. So this image is getting pretty lively, I would say. I'm going to switch to a different image and do some detail. So this is an image I did ahead of time, so the background is dry, and it's a good idea to wait and give the background time to get nice and dry before you add the subjects. So I'm just going to move this work surface out of the way. And we're going to get some detail in this other image that I started earlier today. So here's this other image. And I think I'm going to pick this nice silhouette color. Just kind of get that nice and saturated on my brush. And this is like much smaller. So it really feels like I'm drawing one of Keith Haring's stick figures now, because it's just such a small image, but I think you'll get the idea, and I still really like it. I was outside today walking around with my daughter, so I have some poses of her as well. And I have so much paint on this part, so I'm just going to try and spread it into the rest of my figure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures. Yep. She's holding her bottle in one picture, kind of sitting up cross-legged. And in the other picture, in the middle here, she's walking. She just started walking a little while ago, so here she is walking, picking up sticks. All right, so here we have, hopefully it doesn't run as I lift it up, but here we have just some fun splashes of color. And this is, I don't know, I have my leg up. I like to practice standing on one foot, so I was trying to draw that. And some just like walking and sitting. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to show movement with painting, and we'll see you next time.